right, okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome to Offset. This is episode 49. We have Katya Ross with us, and I am really excited to be here with you. My name is Ryan Selvy. I'm a motion designer and host for your show. Today, we're going to be going over inspiration, process, workflow, all different things that are relating to all things artistry. And we're here for the next hour or so. This is streaming to both YouTube and Behance. So if you're checking the replay out on YouTube, thanks for being here. There's a flurry of other episodes you can check out. They're all different artist spotlights, and it's really cool to be able to talk to people and just see how they're going and how they're creating and how they continue to challenge the idea of art and this new workers economy and working with freelancers and you name it. So I'm really excited to have everyone here. Thank you very much to Bruce, Oliver, Mike, Rick, Jack, Vandal. Thank you everyone for being here right now in the chat, but also if you're watching the replay, I hope to make it worth your while. But without further ado, let's say hello to Katya. Hello, welcome to the stream.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. How are you doing today?
I'm doing super good. Yep, back from the holidays, the new year, and getting back into it.
I know it was a struggle yesterday, to be real, but today feels a little bit more proactive and a little bit productive. But I guess the best way to kind of get started is to start with our very first segment, which is elevator pitch. So what we have for our elevator pitch is I have this cute little timer that I tried to convince myself that I could do Pomodoro, which I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. But we're going to use it today to put a minute on the clock to give you about 60 seconds to describe yourself. So are you ready?
I think so.
All right. Ready, set, go.
All right. Hi, I'm Katya Ross. When I was a kid, I really wanted to work at Pixar as an animator. But then when I got to college, I wanted to be a graphic designer. And then I eventually quit my graphic design job to freelance and illustrate. And then somehow I ended up in motion graphics. And I'd have to say that what I do kind of involves all of the previous stuff that I've been working on. A little bit of illustration, a little bit of motion. I've been freelancing for like 6 years, and I would never go back. Man, I don't know how much time I have left.
30 seconds.
Oh, okay, great. That's gives me time to say that I've got an awesome husband. I've got an awesome cat. Right now, I live in Kansas City, but I've lived on the East Coast and the West Coast. Originally from California. Love going outside. Love being in here with my computer and my Adobe After Effects. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow, with 10 seconds to spare, you got a few more levels to go on the elevator, and then they can ask you questions. But I feel it's very concise. I very similarly had a weird direction and pathway to get to the motion graphics industry, which I feel like a lot of us did.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting to be there, and I'm excited to talk your ear off because I'm also very similar in the idea of freelance, and I don't think I'll ever go back.
Awesome.
But to give everyone a good idea of your work, let's do our second segment, which is let's take a look at your work. Let's look at your work. So you sent me a collection of Behance links, which means that anyone on here is also welcome to go ahead and hop into them as well. You are Katya Ross Studio on Behance.net. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so that we can check out some of the animations that you shared with us. And then we can talk a little bit about why you chose these ones and what excites you about these projects. So the very first one is I could set the building on fire. And let's just take a quick look at it. And it's 18 seconds long. So cute. Which is also to the point that right now, my cat is screaming underneath the door in the other room. So this feels very relevant to everything. I also know that maybe I should, there's no audio to this, so I should need to redo a real quick thing for us. But let's see here. Do you want to just, as I'm getting that set up, you want to talk to you a little bit that piece and what inspired it?
Yeah. So the audio, which if we could get that, would be awesome. But the audio is actually from Office Space, that old movie. The character of Milton, who, spoiler alert, burns down the building at the end. I saw some striking similarities to my cat Beef. My cat's name is Beef by accident. And he's very food motivated. He's very food enraged, and it's just life, art imitating life. He doesn't have thumbs for matches though, so I think I'm good for the time being.
All right, let's see here. I think I can get the audio here. We just have to do this and that. I'm sorry for my unpreparedness.
No worries.
Do this. Here we go. All right. Now we should be able to.
I could set the building on fire. I could set the building on fire. Excuse me. Excuse me. But okay, but that's the last straw.
Oh, it's a little better with the sound.
A little bit better with the sound. That was great. And so how did that kind of come to be as far as process goes? And was it something that you sketched out first and then you brought in to digital, or was it something that entirely manifested in digital?
Yeah, so sometimes I'll sketch out in like Adobe Fresco, really, really dirty, rough sketches. And then I illustrate the vector graphics in Adobe Illustrator, and then I'll pull it into After Effects. And I'd say probably like 80% of the work is done directly within After Effects. But yeah, I just love finding little random sound bites and using them for funny little shorts.
Yeah, let's check out this other one that we have then, which is this little sun, or how to make a sticker with this cute little sun. And I'm going to go ahead and cue it up again. Let's see here. Let's play it away. So cute. Now, was that one obviously for a brand and a client for Avery?
Yep. Yeah. So that was for Avery. I was really excited when they approached me and they were like, hey, can you just make something in your style, just whatever you want to do on how to make a sticker, which is the ideal client project, right?
Or nightmare at the same time, because sometimes when there's no rules, sometimes it's worse.
Too open-ended. Yeah. But they've been lovely. I've done a few things for them, but I love that they were totally open to my favorite thing to do, which is as little text as possible and just kind of showing a story, even without dialogue. It's my top favorite thing to do.
And also, I really like how you had the kind of jitteriness of hand-drawn with around those edges to make it feel more lifelike. Was that just kind of like a turbulent displace filter that you have, or were those individually kind of drawn to make it happen?
Yeah, that is definitely. I used to do 2D, like frame-by-frame animation. And so when I moved to After Effects, I really kind of missed that nostalgic sort of choppy frame rate. And so I have worked in After Effects, but added on almost every single animation. I add the turbulent displace for the little edges and also kind of a larger jitter with posterized time, which means that instead of the full like 30 frames per second, you only maybe see 12. So you get a little bit of the choppiness. And it's just a stylistic choice that I have kind of taken and run with.
No, it feels very organic in the sense that it feels like nostalgic, but it doesn't feel like it was something that happened unintentionally. It feels very purposeful, and it still feels like a professional quality, but it has the nice kind of like jitteriness to it, which is cool.
Well, that's good to hear.
Let's check out this next one.
My aunt won't let me house it anymore, and I'll tell you why. You see, her cat was really shy, but I had to get him inside for the night. So I set a trap, put his food by the door, and I hid around the corner where he couldn't see. Then I waited till I heard him starting to eat. He sounded so hungry, way too hungry. When the moment was right, I went all sneaky like to close the door behind him, trap him inside. But that was the moment I realized it was not the cat. It was not the cat. It was an entire family of raccoons. An entire family of raccoons.
It is a true story.
It's a true story. So wait, so how did that one come to be with the music and the sound and the everything that exists there?
So that's kind of a weird one-off that I did. I found some lo-fi music that was just sort of free to use, and I got in GarageBand with a weird filter, just kind of told the story to the beat of the sound, and then animated to it. Yeah, and I had that really good traumatic life experience to pull from, so it's one of my favorites.
That is absolutely traumatic, but also adorable because raccoons are the trash pandas. But at the same time, I'm gonna let this run actually while we kind of continue to talk here. But I like all the different character designs that you have. I love the cadence and the music. I really want you to do more of the music and the stories. I originally found your work through the little wheelbarrow cat with the pumpkin.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And I feel like that had its own narrative too with the little goofy pumpkin. Miki B is saying, "Hooray, I made it in time." Hi, Katya. So awesome to learn more about you to make these wonderful animations. And they said that this is one of their favorites.
Thanks.
Said, "Lovely cat." Vicious Soldier said, "Love that." Umacorn loves the dancing raccoons. Ashful says, "Ha ha ha." Brick is awesome. We got lots of laughs in the chat.
Good.
But yeah, so does your aunt really not let you house sit anymore, or was she able to look past it?
Yeah, it was a little while before I confessed the story to her. But after I posted this this animation, she actually told me, you could house sit again. You're welcome to. So she didn't hold it against me. Everybody was fine.
Well, art heals trauma, so there's that.
This is my olive branch to her.
We have one last wonderful thing that you shared over, and we're going to check this one out. And this one is paddling.
This is just that.
Do it one more time. One more time. So obviously these live over on Instagram Reels or TikTok. You got into motion design before that was fully a thing. Do you feel like that has changed your approach to how you kind of see motion graphics and its place in the world, or is it kind of just something that you're like, I just do it for fun?
That's a good question. Yeah, so TikTok and Instagram kind of really changed my whole workflow because I was more in the camp of illustration, and I was trying to learn Adobe After Effects and kind of get more into it. And I kind of hit a vein with requests. I did a simple drawing of a duck that just kind of bounced, and people started sending me dozens and hundreds of requests. And I was like, oh, I've got a massive client here who are requesting the most fun things. So for me, it became a really fun way to sharpen my skills and hopefully make a couple people kind of giggle in the meantime. And it's, it feeds into my professional work too. I've started getting clients who are asking for the things I'm sharing. So it's all kind of snowballed majestically for me.
That's one of the biggest things that I always mention to artists that are starting out too, is like only showcase the things that you like doing, because work comes from the things you showcase. So it's like people are always like getting right out of college and they're always like putting in, you know, these like print designs that they don't want to have anything to do, but they're like, but my teacher liked it. And it's like, no, do the thing you like. So it's always really inspiring to hear other artists that are actually like, yeah, I just did a thing and like work came from it. It's like, yes, that's how it's supposed to be.
You'll thank yourself so much for it. Yeah, I've done eons of like brand design and email design, and that's nowhere online from me because I don't want to do it anymore. I want to do motion graphics. That's a fantastic piece of advice.
The chat also went off when we showed that last one. But Miro says the mix of quirky sounds and your beautiful animation is what I love about your work. Squid Fiddler says, I live for those little animal shorts. Viscous Soldier says, I love this duck one. Great animation. Mike's excited about it. We definitely want to see more animals. But unfortunately, we only have an hour, so we have lots of other things to get through. We are going to hop into our next one, which is, I didn't know that was there. So let's hop in that. What? I didn't know that was there. So sometimes in these programs that we spend all day in, 5-7 days a week, we work on things that happen over and over again. But then after years of usage, we find out that there's something there that could have helped our workflow a lot. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen, and then we can check out a piece of tip that you might have for us?
Sure.
Now, you mostly work in After Effects and Illustrator and Photoshop?
Yes.
Oh, you also did Fresco, right?
Yeah, Fresco for sketching.
Yep.
Here you go. Yeah, but I think Adobe After Effects is one that a lot of people are really intimidated by because there is so much going on. So let's see. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's partly a new feature, partly an old feature, but I think something that's super duper underrated is color coding. And you might have known forever that you can come in here and color code, your different layers. But now you can color code. You can color code your keyframes, which is so cool. And that can be extremely useful for when you have things coming in, coming out. Or when you have, for some reason, you can't parent things and you want to be able to select all your keyframes, you can actually select a keyframe group by the color. And that is such a powerful tool if you've got this massive composition with thousands of keyframes and you remember like, okay, I marked all of the fade outs as purple. I can just go and select and then delete. And obviously you can do the same thing. You can select all of the pink ones and just kind of remember what you've used them for. And I'm actually trying to build the good habit of when I animate a character, the eyes are always red layers. Text is always a brown layer and so on and so forth. And you do yourself a big favor because when I was getting started, everything was just random. I was just trying to make them all different. But kind of codifying it and keeping it consistent, especially if you're doing a lot of the same work, like a character animation or whatnot. It's a big favor to yourself.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Also, just for self-organization. Also, not an excuse though to not label your layers.
Definitely not.
I have fallen into that already, where I was like, "Oh, I'll just make the keyframes this and that and this." And then, like, I open up a document and later I'm like, "Come on, Ryan, what are you doing? Just come on, label your layers still." But it does help it so much. It's important to have good systems. I'm going to steal the fact of like using eyes and labeling that always as the same thing because there are through points of all of our work that can easily be adapted. And it's important to adapt it to your own workflow as well.
Exactly.
So that was a really great point. Thank you for sharing the colorful keyframes. I know Bruce is in the chat saying always learning. So he's very excited about it. Next up, I would love to check out a little bit behind the scenes as well, since we're talking about your process, with a segment called What's in Your Sketchbook? Ooh, let's see your sketchbook. All right. So obviously sketchbook is different from everybody. But for each their own, it's just kind of a way to kind of show what is the thing that's going on in your head and how that kind of then later manifests into final work. I have it pulled up on my screen, but I also don't know if you want to pull it up on your screen. Do you have any preference?
Oh, you go for it.
All right, I'll go for it. So is your favorite animal a capybara?
It's up there. It's up there. I can't let my cat hear me say that though.
Just because the very first sketch that we do have is a capybara, and I know that a lot of people like capybaras. So let's check this out. What is this guy from?
So my sketches overall are just chicken scratch. They are not good. They are so simple. This is from just a little simple capybara animation that I did. Usually you see the Satsuma sitting on top of the capybara, so I just flipped it. Had it kind of bouncing around. I think I included the finals too, right? Yeah. All right. So you can kind of see the before and after. Big difference.
And I love what you did with the water down here too, and the idea of like disrupting it more so that it's kind of has that ripple effect in it, but everything still, even up here, has its little vibration to it that makes it feel comfortable or organic.
Yeah, so that's a good one to kind of point out. Like there are a lot of things there are a lot of things that I know I can do really easily inside of After Effects. If something needs to be wavy, if something needs to kind of bend, I kind of don't waste my time sketching that out because I know that later I'll be able to add it in with an effect. Yeah, so my sketches, I try to just kind of get the humor of it and the basic shape, but mostly the humor, what I want it to feel like,
right?
Because that's arguably the most important element of my work is the joy of it.
Also, I don't have the audio on it, but it sounds great. There is a call out in the chat that we know that your favorite animal is definitely not the raccoon, though. That's
oh man, not anymore.
Not anymore. But no, I like once again the feeling of personality with these animals. I like the match cuts that you have going on here. And the personality that you have, because obviously there's many different ways to draw a frog, and you came across the way that accentuates his anger, but then can easily be switched over to his happy little face. We got these cute little manatee sketches. Now, is this like a highlighter that you've got going on here?
Oh yeah, I just have highlighters that sometimes if I don't get the shape right with pen, there's no process. It's just kind of chaos in the sketches.
Yeah. Oh, and Bruce is asking, we can find these on her Instagram account, I'm sure, right?
Yep.
And yes, all of these Tiny Party Hat, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Where does that come from? Where does Tiny Party Hat come from?
Oh man, way back in the day, when I was kind of more focused on illustration, I wanted to have an LLC or company called Tiny Party Hat Productions, and this was way before motion graphics. I was thinking I could do more print design and like product production, and I just love the motif of a tiny party hat because it just adds a little bit of extra detail, a little bit of narrative without being too over the top. It can add a little bit of melancholy, can add a little bit of festivity. So you'll see tiny party hats in a lot of my work. And
yeah, the little guys swimming with their crazy little feet. All
yeah,
have party hats. Wait, show that again.
Oh, it's there's just tiny party hats everywhere.
Oh, I love him. Is that a lamp or a piggy bank?
That's just a duck. It's just a rubber duck.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks
for assuming anything other than just the important duck.
Why can't a duck be a duck?
I also want to go ahead and make sure that we show these cute little manatees though, because look at them. Oh, look at them little bouncing. Oh, they're so cute. Also, how do you land on color? Where do you find your color palettes?
Ooh, another fun question. I will save like photos and just scraps from around the internet. And I have a big document that I keep where I just kind of will color sample or just play around with palettes, and then I will kind of pull from that major document. But obviously sometimes an animation begs for a certain kind of color palette. So for like underwater, I'll use, darker teals, things that maybe are not super literal, but like suggestive of being underwater. But yeah, there's great tools too. There's one where you can kind of put in one hex code and hit the spacebar a bunch of times, and it'll kind of cycle through different colors until you have something you kind of like. You can lock them. But yeah, it's kind of a feeling it out thing.
Yeah, because the one thing is they all feel cohesive, but it doesn't feel like you lean too much on one.
That's good.
It feels like you have warm colors and cool colors, and they always are finding a way to apply to each piece directly. We have some more party hats here with some ghosty guys that actually turn out to be birds.
Yep. So that's the second part of an animation about owls, because I don't know if you've ever seen a photo of owl legs. It's wild. They actually have really long little legs.
It's so upsetting. Owls are so cool, but they're so upsetting. Like for so many reasons.
They got secrets.
Like, have you ever seen the microphone with the decibel of how loud an owl is when it flies?
Is it super silent?
It's silent.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Like you can like hear someone breathe through their nose like louder through than an owl go and just creep up behind you entirely.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm glad they're small.
Right?
Even you're big.
No, oh my god! Like if they were like the size of like pterodactyls.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that'd be a terrible world.
I'm gonna quickly just flip through these last few ones that we have here, just because I don't want to sleep on these, because they are all so cute. But you guys can also, as Bruce was mentioning, you can check out all of these on Instagram as well, and you'll also get the full experience of some wonderful audio that you are missing out on right now, with those terrifying teeth. And then our very last one is literally chicken scratch for what ended up being the one that we looked at 15 minutes ago. But my question is, why was it even why was this even necessary? Why was this even drawn?
I don't know, maybe it's just a ritual for me. Like I just have to have something on paper. Yeah, but I have to start in the real world and then drag it in. I think most of what it is just my stuff is so simple that composition is incredibly important. So even just figuring out like how the basic shapes sit on the page is kind of important.
Right. No, I get that. And I'm not trying to shame you. I just that is such a move. It was two twos with a squiggle. Behind the scenes, everybody.
Not always pretty.
We're gonna actually hop into our next segment, which is just some real quick questions for you. 20 quick questions. So these are just a few rapid fire questions for you to get to know you a little bit better, even though I feel like I know you so well already from these cute little animals. But are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Right-handed. What's the best color?
Ooh, chartreuse.
Chartreuse?
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, no, just it makes me think of runners. But wait a second, can we see that line up again? Look at that.
It looks a little more yellowy here, but it's like a nice yellowy green.
Oh, and this isn't part of the questions, but also, what stickers do you have?
Oh, these are some that I've been actually kind of testing. You might recognize.
Oh, there's the fire cat.
The fire cat, and the capybara. Ooh,
capybara. Oh, holographic style though.
Yeah, and I've got some others floating around, like the screaming rats, which was one of my favorites. This camera's not doing me any favors.
it's focused on your face. It's like, no, we want to see Katya.
Yeah, this color is chartreuse.
What's the worst color?
Probably, this might make me sound like a hypocrite, but like highlighter green, like bright fluorescent green.
How does that work? How do you like chartreuse, but you hate highlighter green?
Nuance. I don't know.
Nuance.
Yeah, it's just what my heart tells me.
Yeah, you know what? I'm shaming you
It
too much.
doesn't look good on me or anybody that I've seen. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good for safety
Yeah.
and
For
green
runners.
screens, but there's a
Just like
reason it's a green
chartreuse.
screen. No, there's a reason fluorescent green is a green screen color. Is because it's the color that nobody wants around anymore.
Oh man, hot take. Hot take. What's the best shape?
The best shape is probably a circle.
Okay.
Circles, yeah.
What's the hardest thing to draw?
Horses. Horses are so hard for me to draw. They're so crazy. Have you ever tried to like blind draw a horse?
Yeah, no, I didn't have my horse girl moment growing up because I just couldn't make it happen.
Everybody should try drawing a horse right now. Send it to me.
Make sure you send it. I want to see an animation out of all of the horses that are drawn.
Oh, I totally would.
What is the easiest thing to draw?
Probably black cats. You can draw almost any shape with some eyes, and it's a black cat.
I have a tuxedo cat, and
Oh.
I have that thing that like out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, it's Roscoe. Oh, nope, that's a
Yeah.
that's a
My cat is gray, so same sort of thing, except for he doesn't absorb light very well, and then
No.
just every random pillow is it's not beef.
There he is. Jack says I was waiting for someone to say a horse. We have what's the hardest thing to animate?
Ooh, probably faces rotating. Because you don't want to like have the nose kind of slide around all funky as you're sliding to a profile view. That can be really tough. In
great
2D.
What's the most productive hour of the day?
Oh, for me, it's for sure morning, like 8 to 9 or 7:30 to 8:30.
What's the worst medium?
Ooh, oh man, I feel like people are gonna come for me for saying what's worst, especially after highlighter green. I'd say laser engraving. You know, like those Cricut machines that just kind of like burn preset designs into wood. Never been a fan. I
always want to figure out how to use them though. I just like
yeah,
I don't know
you
what I would
can do
make.
cool things, but I feel like
It's tough.
across the board, my least favorite. Not saying it's bad. Not saying it's bad.
Okay, then what's the best medium?
I gotta say, like traditional linseed oil paints. Those colors just are so lively. You know, when you go to a museum and you just see the masterpieces, it's hard to beat that.
No, I get that. Fueled by coffee or tea?
Ooh, AM PM split. AM, I'm getting through my pots of coffee as fast as possible because I know that PM I have to switch to tea.
What's a piece of client feedback you hear too much?
Add more text. I think that visuals, if you're hiring somebody to make you a picture, make you a beautiful video, like hopefully they're doing a good enough job with the visuals that you don't need to over explain with text that people probably won't want to sit and read.
Side note to that, I love the text that you have chosen for your reels.
Oh yeah.
And how they kind of populate around in different spots. Like it's not just like static, singular subtitles. It's like you have them kind of interact with the illustration, which I think is really important.
Thanks. Yeah, it's very strategic.
Strategic text.
Yeah.
That's what you need. How many unread emails do you have in your inbox?
You've been reading my diary, the things that keep me up at night. Thousands, lifetimes. I have so many emails. I keep making Gmail accounts, and
It's like when you make folders for desktop that are called desktop, but you're making Gmail accounts. What's the best background noise for work?
Ooh, probably the Black Keys or Billie Holiday.
So you're a music listener.
Yeah, music usually, or
Black
really ridiculous Netflix like dating shows because you don't have to watch those. You can just hear the drama.
Is that like Love Is Blind?
Oh yeah, those are my guilty pleasure shows. I shouldn't be saying that online. It's embarrassing.
Like cut that from the stream.
Cut that from the live.
One long project or a bunch of tiny projects?
Ooh, I have to say a bunch of tiny projects, especially with animation. They can drag on forever, those big projects. But like if you can get through a bunch of really small fun projects, it's so gratifying to see like the finished product.
Yeah. But it's a marathon for sure.
Yeah.
Finish filling the sketchbook or just buy a new one?
Again, I would love to say finish, but no, I've got stacks and stacks of beautiful, unsullied sketchbooks, and I will buy more.
Yeah, no, I was back home for Christmas. We were going through my box of stuff that my mom's like, get this out of my house. And like half of them were just like pretty much empty sketchbooks that I was like, I did 3 pages.
Always full of potential.
All one layer or multiple layers?
Definitely multiple layers. Back when I was doing more digital painting, I would do fewer layers, but now in with motion graphics design, the layers outnumber me 3 billion to 1.
Layers outnumber me. That's a good t-shirt.
TM.
What color background do you work on?
Ooh, I like to destroy my eyeballs with scorching, blinding white. It's not a conscious choice, but it's just what happens.
It just gets there, which is so strange because you're so balanced with your color that I feel like I assumed that you would be on something like darker and then build up from there, like your dark green for the little ducks or whatever.
Oh, thanks.
But interesting. Scorch your eyeballs away because it's working. And the last question is, what is your favorite art class you ever took?
Ooh, might not be too expected, but probably figure studies. Yeah, there was something really wonderful about learning gesture and working with live models. I definitely feel like my skill set as an artist excelled most in those classes.
Oh, I mean, those are the ones that I learned the most. I can note when I got better at drawing because of it. Like I struggled, but I got better because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I feel this. By the way, that is all 20 questions for us, but we do have some questions in the chat that I saw that are happening. What was the process of learning to animate like? The steps you took from the start? You mentioned that you first animated frame by frame, says Simona.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I've always been really interested in animation, and obviously before After Effects was even a thing, way back in the day. I think my dad brought home like that first like Adobe Spark or Adobe Firefly. There was
Adobe
some
Spark.
There was some animation program
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to do frame by frame in, and I was hooked. And then I just kind of kept doing that as I kept my love for drawing. But it wasn't really until I got a job with the what's that museum in New York that has the big dinosaur? The Museum of Natural History.
Natural History.
Yeah, so they hit me up for a couple graphics, and my computer sounded like a rocket ship because I was trying to do these very massive complex animations, and I was like, it is time to get a new computer and learn After Effects. And that was 2020. I was like, all right, we're gonna learn it. And so I used YouTube to just kind of jump in. School of Motion was really helpful. Ben Marriott is the king. His videos were extremely helpful for me to just sort of jump in, get over that initial hurdle of intimidation at how complicated After Effects can seem. And yeah, I got extremely lucky and fortunate. People started asking me for animation work, and I just said, yes, I can do that. When I was terrified inside, and I learned on the job really quickly, and just kind of kept doing that until I got here.
No, all great points. It's a really cool client to kind of get to know a passion through. Oliver says the Big Dinosaur Museum, which is hilarious. And then also I forgot to call out earlier that Jack Watson says 2 of her favorite bands, and you says have to love the Black Keys if you're from Ohio though. So she's mandated to do so. But no, I think that's such an important tidbit of information too, is even if you're scared, if you want to do it, say yes and figure it out.
Within reason. Don't lie. Bend and stretch.
Art surgery. Yeah, just do it. But no, YouTube is a wonderful resource. I mean, we're here on it, and we already learned some stuff today with just keyframes. So it's definitely something I pretty much taught myself motion graphics in the same way.
Nice.
And it's just inspiring to be able to look at your stuff, and it looks like you have such a professional background, but it's cool to see that you have self-taught under your belt as well. But yeah. All right. One of the next things, you did talk a little bit about your inspiration at the museum with different linseed oil. And I wanted to see if we could take a little bit of time to do some art talk. Now, do you want to mention who you want to talk about today?
Oh yeah. So when you ask me what artist inspires me, there are a lot that come to mind, but one that I've loved for a long time is Lorien Stern. I don't know if anybody's heard of her. You've probably seen her stuff. It's extremely fun and joyful and bright. Yeah, there we go. So I believe she's a California-based artist, and she does illustration that's very, very bold and graphic, and she does a lot of ceramic work, and she also does a lot of collaboration. So you could see her stuff in, I think, like Urban Outfitters. I found a shirt with her shark print on it somewhere in like Portland, Oregon. Yeah, I love the consistency in her kind of graphic styles. And I love that you can see her work in a high-end kind of gallery, but also on products that you would just buy for your home or your shirt.
Yeah, and you actually even sent over an example of her work in high end, which is this area with, like, I like how she's playing with space and kind of like the relationship of things together. Are those little tombstones?
It sure looks like it.
That's so
Watermelon
cute and
tombstone?
wacky.
I would buy that for myself.
Lobster tombstone. That's what my fiance would use. But it's also interesting to see kind of what pieces it feels you've also pulled into your own work. And this personality and these animals. I mean, there's a little gator in the back. There's even a little black cat, which you said was
Oh yeah.
easiest to draw. Right over here next to that other black tombstone. But when did you first find her work?
Oh man, a long time ago. I grew up in the Bay Area, California, and I'm pretty sure I came across her work just around here and there. Like I said, when I was up in like Oregon, I found some of her stuff in stores, and I just had to look it up. And once I found her body of work and followed her, I just couldn't get enough. It's so fun, and it's got the really clean, simple silhouettes and composition, but you can definitely tell her work whenever you come across it in the world, after you kind of have spent 5 minutes looking at it, which I love. It's very joyful.
Now, she plays a lot with physical products.
Mhm.
Like here, like there's kind of mirrors or at least reflective material that I don't know how she necessarily cut those out, but is that something you would ever aspire to or explore, is maybe making something a little bit more physical?
I would love to. I haven't as of yet. I've kind of started testing the waters with stickers and prints, but I would absolutely love sometime in the future, once I've kind of honed in, rounded out my style a little bit more, to do some like brand collaborations. That would be so cool.
No, I mean, it's cool to see also it's not all one same singular
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like, she has sculptures. She also has those little mirror things, but also these feel like tiles. I like the little tomato one.
Yeah.
Like, they're all very different, but the tomato one feels very intentional. And I can definitely see crossovers between your work. I don't think that one looks too much like the other, but I can definitely see that you're inspired by her work. And I can't wait to check out more of her stuff because this is really cool.
Thanks. Yeah. I love her limited color palette. That's probably she's not a lot of artists do limited colors like she does, I think.
But still vibrant, like limited, but vibrant.
Yeah.
And intentional, and also texture of different things. Now, I'm assuming maybe you look at her stuff when you're feeling a little burnt out. So let's talk a little bit about burnout. Now, obviously, it's something we all deal with. What's a way that you kind of manage burnout?
Yeah, burnout can be a bummer. I think that burnout, first of all, I think it feels like when you're locked out of that flow state and you just force your brain to work on a certain project, and your brain just wants to drift away every 5 minutes. You just have to make yourself, like, it's white knuckling, trying to stay focused. And so what I found is my favorite solution, if you have the time for it, is to take a break and go on a walk, or if you can, like, take a sabbatical, or most often a walk, and stay away from work. Stay away from work until you're just a little bit uncomfortable. So, like, stay away from work, go outside, go think about something completely different, until you start to feel better, but then keep staying away from work until you start to get like a little antsy, until you so what you try to do is like try to miss it a little bit. You know what I mean? So like distance makes the heart grow fonder, kind of that applying that to work. So try to take a break. You're not going to be just like studying for tests in school. You're not at a certain point, you're not being productive. It's truly better to just let your brain drift off, do what it needs to do, be free. And the other way, oh, I see you've got this pulled up. The other way is to find something that's adjacent to what you're trying to do, adjacent to your work, that's really fun, really easy, and provides gratification. So for me, I started doing this project where I just find pictures of weird cats and just kind of turn them into characters, kind of vectorize them into my style. And they were super fun, super easy. I even sold commissions for a long time. I did hundreds of these actually. And they were super fun. And especially when I was doing them for people, I had that motivation to make somebody happy. They've all got the tiny party hats. It was a great way to stay in practice for me and, you know, build my style, stay motivated, and kind of take a break from the more boring projects.
Yeah, and it's cool as always. You're playing with color, you're playing with shape, and it's also interesting that you know they all have different eyes and they all have different bodies. That they don't feel like this. They feel like same universe, but they all feel like weirdly simplified Pokemon almost, just because there's so much variety to them. And I say that as a compliment because it's really cool to see so much change in between them, but they're all still just weird cats. Cats are so weird.
Yeah.
And you have so many of these.
So many. Yeah, that's not nearly all of them.
This one is hideous.
Yeah.
But that just comes down to preference of naked cats. So that's me. Bruce is saying that's a great idea. These are funny in a good way. Yes, I'm a huge fan of these. These are very fun. Do you have a favorite of any of the ones that we've kind of scrolled by?
Probably the big purple one with the giant legs. I think over an orange background. That one. Yeah.
Boom. Chonky. Well, thank you for sharing those. I mean, yeah, Burnout's something that everyone kind of struggles with. But it's always kind of nice to hear that, you know, we're not in alone. One thing I want to make sure we make time for is a new segment that we have called Next Question. Next question. Now, I know we've thrown a lot of questions at you, especially with that last one with 20 questions. But we also have a question that's coming from our previous guest, which I'm not going to mention who it was, even in the event that maybe you saw it. But they had a question for you, which was, what one word best describes your work?
Ooh. This is aspirational, but I would hope it'd be like joyful.
Joyful?
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. And then what's one question that you have for our next guest?
The next guest, I don't know who that is, so I'm going to shoot in the dark here a little bit. I would love to know what the weirdest thing you've ever had in your refrigerator is.
That's a great question. What's the weirdest thing you've ever had in your refrigerator?
Or freezer.
Oh, it's an open-ended question.
Open-ended.
Do you have an answer to your own question?
No, I don't.
All right, fine, valid. It's not part of it. It's not part of it, so that's okay. Now it is, if you're watching this live or you're watching at the beginning of the year, it is the beginning of the year. We're right at the beginning of January. I wanted to know, is there anything that you want to leave in 2023?
Yeah, definitely. There are things that should definitely stay in 2023. I would say that 100% screen days. You know, where maybe you see a window far away and that's it. Like I think those days where you're just hustling and grinding and you never go outside and you're just glued to your screen, I think those could stay in 2023. And you know they're needed sometimes, but I'm assuming the flip end of the question is things for 2024.
Yeah.
I
What do
definitely,
you aspire for in 2024?
I definitely want to make sure that get outside every single day. I know that's a cliche, but there's a reason. Get outside every day and take more time to enjoy some trees.
Touch grass.
Yeah.
And then we have only a few more minutes left, but I want to make sure we do one of my favorite segments, which is From This to That.
From this to that.
So everything obviously is a journey. We talked a little bit about your journey into motion graphics and illustration, but you wanted to share this one, which is your from this. It's his party and he'll cry if he wants to. When did you create this?
This I created shortly after I quit my graphic design job in Silicon Valley and moved to Portland to just be a freelancer. I want to say like 2017 or 18. It was a while ago now. But yeah, so this is frame by frame animation. I did it, I think, entirely within the old version of Adobe Fresco. Fresco didn't exist back then. And yeah, I just drew a bunch of different frames, and this was an important piece for me because it really kind of solidified what I wanted my style to be, which was limited colors, lineless art, which wasn't always my style. Yeah, and so this when I made this, I was like, yeah, I could run with this, and it got me some jobs. You know?
Yeah. How do you feel about it now?
I still love it. I still think it's really fun. If I were to remake it, you know, I think I could remake it better, but I don't think I would because it was one of the things I was proud of, and I'm still proud of it.
Yeah, it's very charismatic. I feel like a lot of your work, I feel like that is still present in your work today. But you also sent over Disco Time for your most recent work. I'm interested to hear kind of what you feel is the through line between that and this one that I'm about to pull up. I want to make sure that we have audio on this one just because I feel like it's super important.
That'd be great.
And yeah, just curious as to how you feel there is a through line and what also didn't make the cut of a through line. So let's check this out real quick. So between those two, how do you feel like the dancing flamingos can apply to the dancing platypus?
Yeah, so I picked that one because there are, you know, it's probably the easiest to see the through lines. Still got that limited color palette, still got the party hats, obviously, and the kind of the bouncy, goofy dancing animals. Yeah, obviously it's a completely different program. I'm working in After Effects and Illustrator instead of Photoshop and Adobe Fresco, but I think I really tried to hone in on humor and not keeping things too serious, like in that first one. Just sort of a sense of playfulness and yeah, but a new thing that kind of really changed my work, like we mentioned, was the requests. So you could see in that video, I was pulling from the comments of previous videos, just kind of, yeah, he can have some sunglasses. Yeah, he can have a disco ball. And that really, really is fun for me to work with. Just when people shoot me random ideas, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going with. And that's really given new life to my joy in working on animation.
No, well said. And I'm so glad that those are things you've held on to because you've really fine-tuned them and made them really stunning pieces of work. Even if they're silly, they're still really stunning. But unfortunately, we're at time. I mean, that flew by as an hour. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Where can we find you? What can we expect to see next?
Ooh, so I'm on TikTok as just Katya.Ross. I'm on Instagram as tiny.party.hat. Starting to kind of post on YouTube, but haven't really gotten into that yet. Yeah, I really would love to work on some longer projects. I've got ideas for kind of a more cohesive episodal story, but it's got to find the time for that. And I also want to keep posting fun little things in the meantime.
Right. Well, we will have to make sure we check it out. Thank you everyone who tuned in live, and thank you for everyone that's watching.
Thanks,
the replay.
guys. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Bye.
All right, guys. That's it for this episode. If you're watching live, make sure you stick around. We do have one more episode coming up next with some more motion graphics and video editing. And if you're watching the replay, there's plenty for you to watch. But thank you to everyone that said hello in chat over on YouTube and Behance. Make sure you stay tuned, and we'll be right back in a little bit.